Zev is going to be here, Fiantis. Right. We've got about a half a dozen fellows who will be coming to the. Mel will be here, Ruben will be here, I'll be here, Avrami will be here, right? So we've got about a half a dozen fellas, aside from anybody who has guests that I want to be done. Yeah. They're welcome. We'll let them in. Who knows? Maybe we'll twist somebody's arm like one of Chaim Reese's family to give the top one day. What about the stuff there from Canada? What is he? No, no, I don't know how free it is. A year, year of learning, Bella and David Adler, in memory of her father, Ayab ben Yosef Cohen. Those who were inspired by our Rebbe's in Emeritus, Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Estamalkabad, Mishum Yisacha, Gail and Leslie Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Mushka Sprinzer Bad Yosef Chaim Bakava, Hanan ben Moshe Eliezer Vachana, Pesha Bad Shmuel Yitzchak Alevi Vitzipora, Isha ben Yoel Moshe Cohen Vachana, Wexford Friends of Gladys Sherman, Gutta Bad Meir, Michael Klein and Friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi ben Chaim, Marsha Brana, in memory of her husband, Rav Yochmiel ben Shmuel, friends and family of Arthur Ritholtz, Mordechai Yudel ben Baruch Leba Cohen, friends and family of Siggy Best, Joe Shvaga ben Dov, friends of Marvin Weinstein, Mordechai Ozer ben Yisrael Aharon, Sarah Alpert, in memory of her husband, Harav Tzvi Lipa ben Hillel, Rexford, friends of Mary Fredman, Mendel, Miriam, Bach Kalman, Ruvain. A month of learning by Mayor and Sarah Rebbe, Michael and Hilda Rebbe. In memory of Mayor and Michael's father, Asher Zelig ben Moshe, and their mother, Bela Bat Eli Melech. Sid Paris, in memory of his father, Chaim ben Aaron Cohen, and his mother, Judith Bat Tzvi. A week of learning by Susan Fuchter Kramer and Shelley Kramer, in memory of her mother, Bela Bat Yeshaya. Lela Bessler, in memory of her mother-in-law, Rachel Bat Shalom. Rabbi Tzvi and Robin Karpel, in memory of his mother, Malka Bat Mordechai, and her mother, Chaya Abel Bat Menachem Zev. And today, being the 17th, we do not have any individual days of learning. And Hashem is having a Aliyah, Crank Rafiya, Vati Shir Shem Afrei, Chol B'nai Yisrael, the good Gebench. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Mem Chesam Adays. 48b. So up to now we have a machlokas. What's the law of a down payment? Does down payment acquire in the merchandise pro rata, or does it acquire everything? That's the argument that we. Rav says it only acquires, its own value. Yochanan says it acquires everything. Now, today we're going to use a surety, like what's it called, a mashka collateral. Look, we're going to look at it as a type of down payment at first. Later, we're going to look at it as not. In a minute, we're going to take the possibility that it's not any kind of acquisition whatsoever. But first, we're going to look at it like a down, as if it's a down payment. Okay, no, you're already starting to, so to speak, to pay off the loan. So let me get tonight. Therefore, since you have machlokas on Morayim, since I'm going to see an argument about the mashkon, about this collateral, but let's say that we will find the same machlokas. We'll assume that's the same machlokas that the Amoraim have, which is a kasha I mentioned to the Amoraim. What does that mean? Like I told you, the halacha is that the halacha follows the basura. What does that mean? Wherever the rabbis didn't get together to paskin halacha, like why don't we go against the Gemara? Once the Gemara, if the Gemara is the equivalent of all the rabbis getting together, the paskin, if we can't paskin against the Gemara, but wherever the rabbis, early rabbis didn't get together, so ironically, the halacha is like the later rabbi, because the later rabbi has the purview of everybody, and they didn't get together. Who knows what happened when they got together? So therefore, he has a right, the later rabbi, not because he's going to be presumptuous and say, well, I'll say his opinion against the Tanaim. No, but he wants to listen. I said, I have a view of the both, and I say the halacha follows this Tana or follows that Tana. That's fine.
But it's not fine for the American to say, listen, I paskin personally against this time, against that time. What do you do? That you can't do. So it's always a caution. We say, Lema Katanai, we say, listen, we really raising the difficulty to Amoraim. Fine, you want to paskin halacha like one of the Tanaim, say so. Say that you paskin halacha like this time or like that time. That's fine. But don't come out on your own. So it's always a caution. You should know something that my tradition, the way I was taught to paskin, is exactly based on this. In other words, what do you do if you're, let's say, you're a learned person, but there's a great person that, let's say, that's older than you, or that came before you, who says not like you. So you can say, listen, I really don't agree, but what are you going to do with it? Maybe I'm an idiot problem. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think you understood what they said, but you don't. No, you think you understood well enough what they understood and that you're correct. Maybe you don't really know. Maybe they know better. So how do we solve the problem of maybe you're an idiot? You understand? If you feel okay, you want to feel like a monster, just disagree with anybody you want. Okay, theoretically, okay, but listen, I don't think I want to be, let's say, I don't want to be disagreeing with Rabbi Feinstein. I don't want to be disagreeing with Rabbi Teitelbaum. I don't want to be disagreeing with the Chazon Ish. Let's just say all these kinds of things. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot who said I understood what they said. You understand? So we solve it with the same way. I say, you know what? I'll do the same thing. I'll find somebody who is of the same stature, who agrees with me. So then I always have somebody, so to speak. I say, listen, not only, look, I really believe, I'm not lying. I believe that this is correct and not like this great rabbi said. But look, if you'll tell me maybe I'm an idiot, okay. But I have this other great rabbi of the same stature who is certainly not an idiot. And he also disagreed. And I have a right to paskin like that person. That's my tradition of psak. I do it all the time. There's an sense of legal precedent. Yeah, but it's not a mere precedent. Really, yes, but really, I'm saying this is what I say. You know, I'm not being this. I'm not saying because he said it, I'm saying it's the other way. I'm saying because I believe this is correct. But if you want to tell me maybe I'm an idiot, okay. But I have somebody who's not an idiot who agrees with me. See, it's the difference. It's not merely going to. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. When you always have a right to rely on a precedent, but that's not posking a question. That's just relying on somebody else. You know, everybody has so how do you go to any? Say, listen, I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. You have a right to do that. So I can go to any earlier rabbi and say, listen, what should I do, Chafetz Chaim? What should I do, Aruch HaShulchan? What should I do, Chazon Ish? You understand? Okay, so I'll listen to you. But that's not paskening. I say, listen, I don't know what to do. You tell me. But here, no, I'm saying what to do. I'm saying what I believe. The only thing is why you're going to put the fear into me, which I have the fear of God. I say, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe who said I understood what he said? So I said, listen, you know what? This other rabbi, who for sure wasn't an idiot, he also disagreed with him. You understand? So I hide behind those. Not that I'm relying on the precedent of this other rabbi. I'm hiding behind it. Listen, I really believe this is correct. Okay, I'm afraid. Maybe I'm an idiot. I have somebody who's definitely not an idiot who agrees with me, so I'm going to say it. You see the difference? That's my tradition. That's how I was taught to paskin. You see the difference? So if I have to go up and let's say, how can I possibly say different than a Chazon Ish? How can I possibly say? I'm not saying I would do that lightly either. I'm going to say, how can I possibly say different Chafetz Chaim? How am I possibly going to say than the am I possibly going to say different than Rav Chaim Ozer? Am I possibly from the great rabbis of the past generation? Am I possibly going to say different than all the greats of the previous generation? Yitzchak Inspector. How can I say different than anybody? It's because I have other people who weren't idiots for sure, who also said not like that. So I say, listen, they're not an idiot. You understand? So even if I'm an idiot, but I still could say that a non-idiot agreed with me. You understand? So I get out of the problem. That's how we solve the problem. That's the same thing over here, just now. So over here, it's always a kasha. So it's fine for the Amor to say, but you want to go now. The truth, I'll tell you the difference quickly. Don't worry, we're not late. The difference is like this. You're not really forbidden from disagreeing with the rabbi from previous generation. That's not true. They are forbidden for disagreeing with people. There's a difference. You see, they are. There's a difference, okay? Theoretically, we can disagree. It's not really a problem, but I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? You can also, but I don't want to. In a certain respect, once you study everybody, you see everything was there. You'll see, once you learn, you'll see everything you ever wanted was there. My Rebbe was, at a very young age, was very affected by Rabbi Davis, who was in New York. So every discussion in the world that you would have, he would show you it's understanding. Every thought that you have, some people could show you a Gemara. Every thought that you had, he could show you it's a Mishnah. Incredible. I mean, Mishnahs are barely there. They're just outlined. To say you could show everything in the Gemara, it's a talent. To show you to say to show everything in a Mishnah is unbelievable. And it's an unbelievable talent. So it is all there once you get the nuance. I mentioned Mishnayos. The problem is that most people don't learn Mishnayos. I'm not knocking it. What we call learning Mishnayos is really learning a Gemara digest. We say I'm learning Mishnah. We're not learning Mishnah. We're really learning the digest of the Gemara on the Mishnah. You learn about the Mishnah about the Gemara. You're learning Gemara digest. You understand a type of Gemara digest. You're not really learning Mishnayos. The students of Mishnah, like the Tiferes Yisrael, etc., that will bend you out of shape. The guys who sit there and actually learn the Mishnah as the Mishnah, by the Mishnah, for the Mishnah, of the Mishnah, it's frightening. Then you'll get scared. You'll start to shake and tremble. It's a different story. You're actually learning Mishnayos. It's a whole different art. But okay, one day. Anyway, so that's the opening to today's Gemara. So the Gemara says, what? One second. Why are these Amoraim arguing an argument that's really what? A Tanaic argument. They're taking sides. Let's take a look. Because didn't we learn in a brisa? If a person lent money to a guy and they have a surety, a collateral. Now the halacha is that we pass simply the end of the 7th year cancels your debts. You're not allowed to collect them. You're not allowed to collect the debts that you lent out before the 7th year. So the thing is what? But what happens? But anything that's already collected, of course you can collect. It's not a problem. So now what happened was a person had a debt, but the debt was against the collateral. So really, who's they get to collect it? The debt's already collected in this respect. Even though the collateral was only worth half the value, let's say the debt was 100, it's only worth 50, ain't a mashami. The Shemitah still doesn't release the debt. It's already collected, and it's fine. Even half is ready, it's collected. Sounds like what? Sounds like the opinion that what the down payment acquires everything. So a mashkon for half acquires the whole debt back. It's not released because you're already collected. Divra of Rishon Gamliel. Yehuda Nasi says no. Imaya mashkon connected al basa. If the collateral was equal to the loan, ain't a mashamit. So then it doesn't release it. Why? Because he's collected the loan already. So it's not released. He doesn't lose it. But if not, if it's only worth half, mashamit. The way we're learning it now, if it's only worth half, the loan is released. You see what? So it looks like what's the machlokas? The machlokas is does the down payment, does the collateral acquire everything, or only pro rata? If it acquires everything, so that's not released. If it's only collected, but only half, so it's not being released. Okay, you're learning it as if collateral is a type of down payment. As you said, we use the similar words for it. Okay, minor mishamik said, nah. He says, no, pardon me, we're still in the middle of the kasha. Minor mishamik to come up again, man, how are we going to read it? Because really, you can read it more than one way. Ilema kenegdo, if you want to say what, the Rishon Gamliel said what? That it doesn't release, but it means only for its own value. In other words, half of the debt is not released, but the other half is released. Mechlal de Yehuda Nasi, then you would be forced to say that the second opinion, Sabar would hold what? That even half, okay, was also not released. Was also released. He couldn't get anything. He said that's a problem. If that's true, if the mashkon doesn't do anything, why did he take it? It has to have some value. It's there to have collected at least its value. He's taking the collateral for a reason. He's taking part payment. You can't say it's nothing. It must be what? From what Rav Yehuda and Nasi said, it has to be a minor mishamit. When he said the Rishon Gamliel, since Rav Yehuda Nasi had to mean something. So Rishon Gamliel said what? That it doesn't release it. Ena mishamit bekulo. Okay. What means what? That none of it's released. In other words, the entire loan, he really has it. Okay, and it doesn't become released. Well, my mishamit become Nasi said what? If it doesn't release it, in other words, the half that he didn't have the security for, that is released. The half is even he admits the half that's more is released. It's forgiven. It's forgiven. But why? But the half that the mashkon is worth, the creditor already collected it. So you see, so they're having the same argument, right? That what? Okay, well, again, that's the argument. So Shimon Gamliel, okay, Sabar says, come on, Shimon Gamliel holds like our machlokas of the Amoraim. So Shimon Gamliel holds keneged kula hukana. What? He holds what? That the down payment here, in case the collateral acquires everything, so therefore the creditor has the whole loan, and it's not released. So Yehuda Nasi Sabar, Yehuda Nasi holds no keneged hukana. No, the collateral down payment only is pro rata, so therefore the collateral is only acquires to the creditor the part that it's worth, and therefore that's not released, but the other part is released, and that's the exact same machlokus, huh? It's without a right. It's without a pros ball. It's without a pros ball, right? Regardless of a pros. Regardless, yeah. But let's say before. But the point is, regardless, it's not a case where he has it. He didn't do a pros ball. It doesn't matter. Really before, but it doesn't matter. Let's say he didn't do a pros ball. He didn't do it. So the same thing. So now the only thing is so that's a kasha. That's a kasha. How could our two Amoraim argue what the Tanam argue? Each of them is posking against the Tana. Okay? No. He says, don't worry, it's not. So we can say, no, I can show you, I can read it all like one. What did it mean that when Rishon Gamliel said what? That it doesn't release it. In other words, he can keep it. No, he only meant what? He only meant the value of the mashkan. If that's true, mashkan nami misham. So then, according to Rabbi Nasi, we had a problem. So then, what? Even the half that the mashkan was worth, it also releases. So then, what's the purpose of the mashkan? So as I told you, up until now, we looked at a security as a down payment. Where it says, no, that's not what security is. The reason people take collateral is just the way of threatening the guy. Listen, give me my money, or you're not getting your thing back. Not that collateral began to pay off the debt, or paid off is really a payment for the debt. Not the collateral says, pay me for the debt. If you pay me the money, I'll give you back the collateral. No, the collateral is just a way of bullying the guy. Hey, give me my money, or you're not getting your thing back. But it's not a collection at all. So we have different. That's what I told you. That's the third way. That's the new way of looking at it. Do I look at collateral as paying part, or collateral as paying whole? No, I look at collateral as pays nothing. It's just a bullying tactic. You know, it's just a strong arm. Okay. Now we have some cases. Rav Kahana. Yes. I told you. A very fine rabbi who's already passed away, unfortunately, from America. Outstanding Talmud Chacham. So I discussed with him. I told you where I was. It was clear the pawn shops were full of stolen goods. It was obvious. I do in Phoenix when the people with houses were robbed, the police would tell them which pawn shop to go to get their jewelry back. They'd have to pay for it, but the police would tell you where to go to buy your jewelry back. If you like it so much, you can buy it back. It's in the pawn shop. So there's a real question: can anybody go and buy from a pawn shop? You're betting team. It's a question of anybody. You're buying stolen goods. Can anybody buy from a? So I spoke to a big rabbi here. He passed away, unfortunately. A whole back and forth with him about whether a person is allowed to buy from pawn shops these days, since they're so well known to be having so many stolen goods. I'm sure not all the pawn shops are exactly the same, but anyway, that's how it was over there. Okay, Rav Kahana, Yavile Zuzdia Kitna. Rav Kahana, he was selling what? He was selling flats. So they gave him people. So he took a down payment. The Sophia they paid him money. The Sophia Kitna, pardon me. No, he took money. They took money. They paid him. In the end, the price went up. So obviously, he would rather change the deal. He'd rather renege. After the coming to Rav, so he came in from Rav. He says, "I want to go back." Remember what we say up until now. We said money doesn't close deals according to the Torah, right? Money doesn't close the deal, so he wants to go back. Amalei, so Rav said to him, "But mine did not. The Nikita Zuzi Havlu." He says, "Listen." He says, "You know what? Give them the flax exactly pro rata for the amount of money for the money that they gave you." Okay, the edach, but the rest, okay, dvarim and the rest is only words. It's not a problem. You only said you're going to tell them the dvarim, and some words is not being untrustworthy. That's fine. Now remember, that's against what we learned earlier. Remember, we learned earlier that there's a curse when you give the money, but there's still the rabbis are not happy. But over here, we're saying what? We're saying, listen. He says no. He says whatever you gave the money for, even though from the Torah you can go, even though you can go back, there's a curse. You shouldn't do it. So he told him what? Give him the amount that the money they gave you. But the rest, he says, you can go back because it's just words. Words is not a problem. Words is not a problem. So once again, he's saying clearly what that they paid him for what they only pay obviously. So they only paid him. They only got what they paid for. Now the Ismar, okay. And how do we know that? Okay, how do we know that words are not a problem? We're going to see. We're going to debate it. Don't worry. The Varim, okay. When people made a deal, they said, "Listen, I'll sell you. I'll sell you." Rav made mishum esmana. That's what happened. Rav holds, and that's what he said. Rav holds there's no problem with being untrustworthy. No. Even if you just said something, you just talked that I'm going to sell you, you're going to sell me, I'm going to sell you for such and such, whatever it is, that's also considered to be untrustworthy. but he held words one and nothing. He says, come on, let me ask you a kasha. How can you tell me that? Rabbi Yossi, we learn Matam with Lomar. Hin said that when the Torah says you have to have good weights and measures, says you have to have a hin. Said that hin is a big measure. Hin is a measure volume, measure of volume. Hin said it. How come the pasuk tells me I have to have an ephah that's just and a hin that's just? Okay, he says, listen, a hin is just a smaller measure than an ephah. It says it's included. So why do you have to separate it? So therefore, it's a pun on the word. Hin is like hein, like yes. Your yes has to be just. Your no has to be just. Just if you say yes or no, you have to keep your word. So you have a kasha to Rob. Rob says words are nothing. Okay, words are nothing. And he said yes. We're learning the drasha. Abayah says no. He says you make a mistake. When it says yes is a no is a no. It doesn't mean if you said you're going to sell, you have to sell. It means what? It means you shouldn't say something intending to do something different. So there's the point. If you tell a guy you're going to sell something at that moment intending not to sell, that's forbidden. But as long as you meant to sell it when you were going to sell it. But later, look, things changed. Things got better. It got worse. It got more expensive. That, as long as you didn't attend at the moment you sold it not to fulfill it, that's not considered a lack of trustworthiness. So that's the difference. So now it's coming out that even Rob according to Rob isn't saying, well, your word is nothing. No, you can't say I'm going to sell, meaning not to sell. That you can't do. But to say you're going to sell, meaning to sell, but then things change, then you're not called untrustworthy. There's a big machlokas. Everyone agrees that you can't be two-faced and say I'm going to sell, we don't mean to sell. But if you mean to sell, but then things change. Rob says it's fine. Okay, that Rob says it's fine. Rabbi Yochanan says it's not fine. Okay, Mesi Bey says, come. Let me say that's an interesting argument. Mesi Bey come Alesha Kasher Brisa. We learn Rabbi Shimon Omer Alphabisha Hamu. Talis kona dinazah, being dinazah kona talis. Remember, we learned the garment is acquired by the gold, but the gold coin. The gold coin is not acquired by the gold coin is acquired by the talis, and the talis is not acquired by the gold coin because money doesn't do the job. But even though once you gave the money, the deal's not closed, and even though the person will get cursed for doing it, or is liable to be cursed. But they said, okay, but even though the guy got punished, but he has a right to back out as long as he only got the money and nobody got the merchandise. But the rabbi said that the God who took recompense from the people of the generation of the flood, and the people of the generation of the Tower of Babel that got dispersed. He is in the future going to take a recompense from a person who doesn't keep his word. And now the Brisa continues, and it says the following. It says that if a person just makes a deal verbally, they decide to do it, okay? But if the person hasn't given the money, if there's no acquisition, and anybody goes back, the rabbis are not happy with him. That's what we learned earlier. This is what I just mentioned. We learned that a few days ago. So you see what we said, even when no money transferred hands, we said the rabbis are not happy. So you see, the person is untrustworthy. Remember, I didn't think we learned this a few days ago. So how could Rav say what he's saying? We learned it explicitly. Even without giving money, the rabbis are not happy with the guy. Okay, the answer is what? Well, it says, you're right, but Tanaim. That's only one Tanaim opinion. Yes, one Tanaim opinion is against Rav, but there's a Tanaim opinion like Rav, and that's who he poskins like. Let's see the Tanaim opinion that it's not a problem. If you only spoke words, it's not a problem. It's not because of them. This is a very, very famous. It's a Mishnah we're going to learn later. Yochanan ben Yasa said to his son, I need workers. Go hire workers. Now he went out. Now the truth is, day workers you always have to pay. You have to feed them. But he hired workers and said to them, I'm going to feed you. He had to feed them anyway. But he hired workers. He said, I'm going to feed you. Because when he came back to his father, and he told him what he did, he said, did you mess us up? How could you tell me to feed him? When you tell me you're going to feed him, he's going to feed him well. He says, if you feed him like Shlomo in his greatest times, in his heyday, if you feed him like Shlomo in his heyday, you'll never feed them properly. Why? They're Jews. These are the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're princes. There's nothing that's good enough. You'll never fulfill your obligation. We'll always be behind. You can't feed them well enough. Whatever you give is not going to be good enough. He said quickly, before they start work, before they do the job, go tell them, go back and change the deal. Tell them quickly, before they start working, tell them, listen, I'm only hiring you a condition, you're only going to get bread and beans. Now, says the Gemara, 1 second. 1 second. You told me you guys hold what you hold what you can't go back on your word. How can he go back on his word? The kid made a deal. How can he change it? If you hold that stam words is already untrustworthy, if you go back, he says, how can you tell him to go back on his word? So you see, we have a title the other way. You brought me a title about that words alone. You're right. There is such an opinion. Words alone are going back is untrustworthy. But I brought you an opinion that words alone going back is not untrustworthy. It's fine. He told the kid, go quickly before they start work. Says the Gemara, well, 1 second. He says, what's Rabbi Yochanan going to do? Rabbi Yochanan holds what mere words is the problem. So how's he going to explain that Mishnah? He says, Shani Asam. He says, they're not against me. He says, the Paul and Gufaylo Sachadata, you're making a mistake. He says, even though he told them that he's going to feed them, he says they never trusted my timer. They never really relied on it. They didn't think it was my timer. Made the yadi, the aladua sambachin. They knew they were making a deal with the kid, and they knew that the kid was always dependent on the father, and therefore they never. When is it you're cheating when the guy thought that the deal was closed? They never really thought the deal was closed. They knew that the kid would have to run it by his father. Therefore, they never really assumed that they made a deal to get fed properly. You're saying to get fed, which is impossible to feed it properly. That's why you see in kosher hotels, nothing's, you know that joke. You know, the waiter comes to the Jewish hotel, he comes to the old ladies. He says, ladies, is anything okay? Because you can't possibly, you can't, for Jewish people, you can't, there's nothing, we're kings and queens, you can't satisfy. So I got to do it. So he said what? So therefore he said what? He said really the truth is what? So it says Rabbi Yochanan, no, even the words you can't go back on, but in this deal, the words didn't mean anything. They knew that the kid has to talk to his father before he makes the deal, so they didn't really have a closed deal. I go, so 1 second. The nice try, but he says, Rabbi Yochanan, it's true that they didn't rely. Then why did the father tell them change the deal before they start working? Then even if they started working, he should be able to change the deal. Why did the father say quick before they start work, change the deal? If the facts are that they didn't rely on the deal, even if they started working, they knew that's to go beyond the back. We can't change afterwards. The answer is no. Once they started the work, then the workers already really felt that the deal was closed. Why? Okay, why? Because they said the main by the time he started working, he had to have told his father, and the father accepted it. So therefore we can defend also Rabbi Yochanan from according to this opinion. 1 second. Did Rabbi Yochanan really hold that mere words is a lack of trustworthiness if you go back, even if you didn't transfer money? Didn't we learn that Rabbi Yochanan said, the guy just said, I'm giving you a gift. He can back out. Okay, so he says obviously he can go back. Everybody knows that. Legally he's not bound. He didn't give any money. Ella what? No, he said, well, so what does he mean to say? Not that he's able to, but he's allowed to. Even Rabbi Yochanan said words are untrustworthy to back out of. But here, even though if you promise the gift, you can go back on your word. Well, Puppy says, no. That's special. Why? That's a big gift. He says, it's same answer before. If it's a regular small gift, Rabbi Yochanan also says you can't go back. Why? Because people rely. In other words, it's the same thing. Okay, I'm going to explain. But here, I'll say that simply. Rabbi Yochanan, we have machlokas here. Okay, Rabbi Yochanan is the one who holds. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi holds what? Words are nothing. You didn't put no money. It's not even a problem. It's not a problem at all. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Money's not the same problem as no money. Words alone is not the same problem as money. Money, get a curse. Okay, for backing out on. So, but no words. Listen, you're not a good guy. We're not happy with you. You're not a good guy. Okay, so he said if Rabbi Yochanan really holds that words alone are a problem, how come Rabbi Yochanan said if a guy said to a guy, "I'm going to give you a gift," it's okay to back out? He said his words. Even if nothing was transferred, how could he back out? So the answer is the same thing as before. When does Rabbi Yochanan say that it's not a problem to back out? When nobody took it seriously. So when a guy said, "I'm going to give you a big gift," says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to give you $1 million." No, I don't think it's so exaggerated. I'm going to give you a big gift, 1,000, whatever it is. Then nobody's really expecting he can back out. He says, but when he's a normal gift, he says, "Look, I'm going to give you 100. I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you a shopping cart." Then you can't back out. You see? So any gift that's reasonable to think that the guy meant it, you can't back out. So everything's good. We're the same thing. Rabbi Yochanan holds any time that the recipient has reason, the recipient, the worker, the Everest have recipient to believe that it's reasonable, the guy meant it, then even backing out of words alone is forbidden. He's not allowed. Huh? A very big gift is the point, because nobody took it seriously. Nobody really said, yeah, nobody thought I was going to do it. I says, hey, next, stay tuned. I'm bringing you a Cadillac next week. Yeah, again, I love it. Yeah, stay tuned. Okay, come on there. I was just thinking of that. Whatever. Okay, all right.
But with the workers, isn't there a concept of minna kamalkum? Usually they sing on the street and they.
Oh, so that's what I said to you. So usually, if you hire a worker, they fed him. But when he said you're going to feed him, we're going to feed him nicely. That was the problem. That's what the father was upset. The minhag was if he just would have hired him, you feed him every day. No problem. Nobody expected. If he says but if he says I'm going to hire you and I'm going to feed you, man, I'm going to feed you nicely. That's impossible. That's what the fight was. That's exactly what you said. You hire him, you got to feed him, no problem. But if you say you're going to feed him, then you meant nice. Now you can't. He says you can't possibly do it. And Rabbi said, this is. If people knew what a Jew was, we would treat each other differently. If you knew what a Jew was, you'd be scared. That's not some guy. Even if he gets on your nerves. That's not some guy. That's a Jew. You better watch out. Watch out. My Rebbe of blessed memory, I'm not going to get the argument that you should buy lottery tickets or not. I have a lot to say on this. I'm not saying, I'm not saying, I'm not saying financially if it's a good idea, religious, no argument. Fine, you can do it. But that's not a problem. But my Rebbe of blessed memory used to say, don't buy the lottery in Eretz Yisrael. Only buy it in America. So why? In Eretz Yisrael, it says everybody got a tzaddik in the closet. Like skeleton in the closet. I don't care who this guy is. Everybody got a tzaddik in their closet someplace. I don't care. Everybody got some big tzaddik in their family. Their bubby, their zaydi, their grandfather. Everybody says you're up against such righteousness. He says forget it. He says, do not buy a lottery. In America, buy a lottery against all the people in America. You have a good chance to win. He said, forget about it. Israel, forget it. It's hopeless. Every guy got a tzaddik up his sleeve. He said, don't buy lotteries in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah, you knew what a Jew was. A Jew of B'nai Mitzvah Yaakov. Are you crazy? You know who you're talking to? Even if he's a bum, he's a Jew. Hands off the merchandise. That guy's Jewish. Watch out. Watch out. You know who you're talking to. Watch out. Be careful. Be careful. I'm serious. That's what what are you talking about? These are Jewish people. Nothing is good enough. That's correct. Nothing. What's the guy said? Nothing good enough for my wife. Nothing good enough for the one I love. Nothing is. You're right. You can't do it. You cannot live up to the obligations to a Jew. You can't. You can't. Jews are special. That's right. Jews are very holy people.
The Jews in the mitzvah.
Yeah.
They're complaining.
They knew. They knew who they were. They knew who they were. That's right. That's what they say. What's a Jewish woman's favorite wine? I want to go to Florida. All right. That was the old days. That was the old days. Okay, so we're going to see the same point. I'm going to show you that this explanation of Rabbi Yochanan makes sense. I'm going to show you Rabbi Yochanan differentiates between a large gift and a small gift. Rabbi Yochanan holds you can't go back on your word, but when it's a large amount, since the person never relied on it, it's not a problem to go back. Okay, let's take a look. He says, I'll show you why. Rabbi Yochanan, he says, Yisrael Shomer Ben Levi. Ben Levi just means a Levi. A Yisrael said to a Levi, okay, car meiser, okay, he says, listen, I have a car of meiser. I'm giving to you. I'm dead my meiser to the Levi. I'm giving to you. Rashai, okay. Okay, Ben Levi. So immediately the Levi who he told it to, so the Levi has to give Trumas Meiser to the Kohen. So he says, I got 9 cars someplace else. So immediately he's going to take this car and make it what? Make it Trumas Meiser to give to the Kohen. Now, how can he do it? The guy just said it to him. There was no transfer. Okay, Mishamachi Rashai. Okay, if you say what, then when it comes to what, then this is considered a small gift. Why? Even if it's a lot of wheat. Why? Because remember, the Yisrael can't keep it. So no matter what the quantity, it's considered a small gift. All he's got is the right to decide who it goes to, but he's got to give it away. So it's a small gift. So if you say what by a small gift, he's not allowed to go back. That's why the Levi can automatically transfer it to the Kohen because Israel can't go back. But if you hold that by any gift, he can't go back. Why can the Levi give it to the Kohen? Maybe the Yisrael can go back. And the Levi's going to have it eaten swallowed. It's terrible. So it must be what? That's we differentiate between small gifts and big gifts. But again, we have the basic machloket. Okay, the Gemara says, you know what? Don't worry. He says, I could say the other way. It could be really what I could say that you don't have a proof from here. Because Rabbi Yochanan could tell me what, it could be that really Rabbi Yochanan holds what? That even a small gift, a person is allowed to go back on. And why is the Levi able to do it? Then how can he rely on it? Because with the Levi already, he took the wheat, he took possession of it, but then he gave it back to the Israel to guard it for him. So that's why I can give it to the Kohen, because it's his. I said, get out of here. He says, okay, if that's true, if he really took possession of it, Amos Sefer, how do I read the end of the words of Yochanan? Because we learned the son of Ben Levi Acher, if the Israel, after telling, what, instead of giving it to the Levi, he said to, he gives it to a different Levi. The first Levi can only what have complained to him, but there's nothing he can do. If the case that the Yochanan was talking about is where the Levi took possession of it and then gave it back to watch it, he says, am I in all of it? What do you mean he can only complain? He says, okay, the Mashne, once he took possession of it, Mamona is like, it's his money. It's his money. He wouldn't complain. He can take it back. No, you see what? That what? With the Lord, it has to be a case where he didn't take it, and therefore what? And like we said, and therefore we did prove our point to what the Rabbi Yochanan this differentiates between a large gift, which a person can go back on, and a small gift where he can't where it says indeed that's the truth. Good. Another story. Gabra. Okay, Zuzi. Okay, a certain guy gave money to the salesman for sesame. Okay, the Sophia in the end, sesame went up more. He only got money, the deal's not closed, and sesame went up in price. What the seller already said, look, I'm out. The deal's off. After the coming to Robert, so they came in front of Robert. The buyer wants to. I said, "Listen, my money was stolen in this guy's possession." Amar Lacy said to him, "Came to Amilach Shakol Zuz." When he said, "Since the seller said to take your money, below Shaklis, he didn't take it back." Not only is the seller not a paid watchman, he's not even an unpaid watchman. It's your negligence. He said, "I said the deal's off. Take your money back. You didn't take it. He didn't agree to watch it." So the rabbis, the students, said to Rabbi, they said, "1 second, what are you talking about?" Well, 1 second, but the guy can't cancel the deal unless he's been cognizant and accepts upon himself that he's going to get cursed. Until he tells us, "Okay, I'll take the curse." If he doesn't take the curse, the deal's not off. He says to Achinam, he says, "You're right. You're right. I'm wrong." He says, "Really, what? Since they weren't informed, they didn't accept the curse. So therefore, what? So therefore, since they didn't accept it, so then they're really what? They really are still responsible. Amalei Rapapi, Ravina. Rapapi said to Ravina, one of the rabbis told me that the whole thing never happened that way. The whole story's off. Okay? Rav Tushme, the guy who told me was Rav Suas, and it really happened. Rabbi Shmuel by the Zuchus Shmuel. Once whoever it was, the real guy was there. The real guy was there, and he told me the whole story didn't happen. Here's what we have. Yeah, and this guy who told me this story, he was okay, and I know the guy. He relayed. If they would give him everything in the universe, give him all the possessions in the world, he wouldn't change his word. He would never back off on his word. And I know this guy would never back out of his word. So that guy told me the following. He said, the whole story you just told me didn't happen that way at all. See, but the story happened by me. He says, I was the principal. And it never happened, okay? It never happened that way, okay? And if he was if I was the salesman and somebody gave me money, I never would have backed out, not given him the sesame. Here's what happened. Once upon a time, I was the principal. It was late on Shabbat on Friday afternoon. Late in the afternoon, Friday afternoon. I was sitting. A certain guy showed up at my house. He stood at my doorstep. He said to him, he asked me, "Do you have sesame for sale?" Is what he had. This is the true story. I said, "No, I don't have sesame for sale. There's no sesame here." So I said, "I don't have any." He said to me, okay, he says, listen, he says, so this money that I have, my zuzim, let them be a deposit by you. To what? The deposit by you. It's getting dark, it's getting to be Shabbos. So I said to him,
How basic am I? My house is in my house. Here's my house. My house is in front of you. So you notice what he spoke very slyly. He didn't say, "I'll watch him." He said, "My house is in front of you. Do what you want." You know, say, do as you wish. Oh, so the guy put it in my house. They got stolen. After the coming to Rabba, so now the guy took the guy coming from a Rabba, and he wants what? He wants me to be responsible for his money that he threw in my house for Shabbos. Amarle, so Rabba said to him, this is the true story. He said, "Kol ha-basic amach," because whenever a guy says, "Here, the house is in front of you," love by a shomer sachadov. Here's what happened to him. He said, "This is the case." He said, "Not only is the guy not a paid watchman, he's not even an unpaid watchman." That's the story that really happened. Okay, I never. If the story was that I was the salesman and I had promised Sesame, I never in my life would have gone back. That's not the case at all. The case was the guy wanted to throw stuff. I said throw it in. That's all. And that's what happened. Amrile, okay, and they said to the rabbi, okay, 1 second. He says, but 1 second. But didn't the how can you tell me? Didn't the story continue? Okay, Amrule, and then they said to him, okay, one of the rabbis said, he says, Amrule, Rabbana Rabba. But didn't the rabbi say to Rabba, but 1 second, in the end of the story that he said he did that in order to be responsible, he has to have accepted the curse. So you see, if it's accepting the curse, it had to be a monetary deal. And not like you're saying it was just a question of throwing the money in the house. Okay, Amrli said, that rabbi said to him, the rabbi who corrected the story, he said, Lord, that was never happened. That line never showed up. The whole story was fabricated. There was no sale of Sesame. The guy only asked me about Sesame. I never get to sell him anything. And the story where he said what he should have got a Mishapar, that never happened. He said the whole story's wrong. You got the whole thing completely mixed up. It's all wrong. Okay, Rav Shimon Omer. Okay, Rav Shimon says now. Now this is very beautiful. Remember, we learned at the end of the Mishnah. We said what that money doesn't close a deal. It's much what everybody can back out, the buyer and the seller. Rav Shimon says no. Kol shekesef yodo yodo yodo. He says no. Whoever has the money, he has the ability to back out. So so the seller who got the money, he can back out, but the buyer can't back out. Now don't forget, we said what? We said that according to Rabbi Shimon, money does close the deal. And it's only the rabbi said money doesn't close. When the Torah, money closes the deal. But the rabbi said no. So Rabbi Shimon says what? Since the rabbi said, we explained it earlier, since the rabbi said the deal, what's the whole reason the rabbis want the deal to be off? They want to make sure that the produce, okay, of the buyer that hasn't been collected is protected if it gets on fire. So it's sufficient. It's sufficient to say what, as long as the seller could have a reason, okay, to back out and still own it, he'll protect it. Why? Because so long as the seller, maybe the price is going to go up and make money, that's enough for him to protect the wheat of the buyer. You know what I'm saying? That's enough. So we don't need the buyer to be able to back out. We only need the seller to be able to back out. That's enough incentive for the seller to save the wheat of the buyer, even though the buyer hasn't taken collection. That was Rabbi Shimon. Tanya, we learned, Rabbi Shimon a Masai. Rabbi Shimon said, when is that true? Okay, even what I said that the seller can back out. It's when the money and the produce is still in the hand of the seller. But if the money's in the hand of the seller and the produce is in the hand of the buyer, which doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? We just the whole case where he didn't take it yet, but let's keep reading. As if he said what? And the product says, he can't go back. Because what? Because the buyer has his money in his hand. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. He says, Biyado, what are you talking about? It's not in his hand. He says, it's Biyad Moku. The whole case was that his produce is still in the hand of the seller. The buyer doesn't have his money in his hand. The buyer doesn't have anything. Because Elos, you have to read it like this. If Nation demay kaspo biyado. You mean to say what? You mean to say what? Because what in lieu of his money is in his hand, which means what? Because the buyer has already collected it. So that doesn't make any sense. The whole thing makes no sense. Once the buyer has it in hand, everybody in the whole world is closed. That's obvious. Once the buyer took the produce, the deal's closed to everybody. Of course he can't go back. Amar Rabbi said, no. This is what he meant to say. And this is the case. Here's what's happening. The whole case was what? Where the seller rented a loft from the buyer. So the seller who owned the wheat had it in a rented loft in the house of the buyer. So now, it's ironically, even when the produce is in the hand of the seller, in a certain respect, it's in the hand of the buyer. Because even when the buyer didn't, why? Even though the loft belongs to the seller, it's not the buyer's house. But for our purposes, even though legally it's not in the hand of the buyer, but for our purposes, it'll be like in the hand of the buyer. Why? Because, okay, think about it. What? Here, I'm going to explain. Time of my tikkun rabbanim sheep. What was the whole reason why the rabbis, according to Shimon, decreed against the Torah law? The Torah law is what? That money closes the deal. Why did the rabbis decree against the Torah law, so to speak, what that money doesn't close the deal? A gezerah was a decree, Shema what? Maybe Yomar lo nisuchitach baliyah. Maybe a fire will break out, and the seller said, "Heck with it." He says, "You see, you stop burnt up, tough luck. He's not gonna save it. He's not gonna get out of bed to save the guy's wheat." But over here, Hacha, in this case, ironically, even though the wheat is still legally, it's exactly the same case. It's still in the hands of the seller, but it is physically in the domain of the buyer, not legally, but it's in his house for crying out loud. If it's a fire in his house, what's going to happen? Okay, his wheat, he'll get out of bed, they'll save it. Don't worry about it. It's his house for crying out loud. You don't have to worry about it. He'll save his own wheat. So you don't have to make a decree. And that was the case. He said, in such a case, if the whole reason for the decree was that the seller will neglect the buyer's produce when it's by the seller before the buyer took it. Okay, if you follow Torah law, so the rabbis had to make a decree. Over here, there was no reason to make a decree. It's sitting right there. He'll get out of bed himself and he'll take it. That's all he was saying. So he says, in that case, the decree of the rabbis was never made. Easy. Yeah, but this is not possession; it's proximity. He can get out of bed himself and save it. So I don't have to bother them. So I can let the sale go through. Okay. That's part of the thing. One of the things we do when we sell chametz, we sell the guy the property. Yeah, we sell the guy the property. That's what we do. We sell property. We lease them all the places and sell all the places where the chametz is. Ahu Gavra, I'm telling you, I told you, few things move me as deeply as selling chametz, and because you cannot be in love sufficiently with the Jews. That's what I'm telling you. And when you read that contract, what you know what we're saying? I don't want this chametz, and I don't care what happens. And if there's any fight over this contract, you win. It's yours. And if there's any problem, if the sky falls out of the heavens down to the earth, the contract still goes through, and the chametz is yours. We do everything in the world, no matter what happens. If the universe is destroyed, the chametz is yours. That a Jew shouldn't have chametz on Pesach. It'll break your heart. That contract is saying in every possible, we cover our bases 20 times, fail safe 20 times over and over again. I don't care what happens. We do not have chametz on Pesach. That's what that contract says. You can't not let. That's Jews. That's Jews. You are going to have this chametz. I told you, I was at I was in a motel in Los Angeles. So I had to stay there Friday night, and they're outside those motels. It's not in a building. So it's a Rishus Rabbin from the key from the room to the guy to the checker. So I bring the thing there of Shabbos. I'm thinking, don't worry, the guy will open somehow. I'll get in. So I said to the guy, he's a Chinaman. So I said to him, listen, you'll be here late. He says, oh no, you take the key. I said, I don't want the key. He said, no, you don't take the key. I said, I don't want the key. He said, I trust you. You take it. I said, I don't want the key. He said, I don't want that key. He said, the guy thought I was a nut. He said, I want the key. He said, oh yeah, would you say we read a chametz? I don't care what happens. I don't care if the universe says over 10 times, I don't want this chametz. That's what's so beautiful about it. It's such a moving thing. You think it's a dry contract? It's a testimony to the holiness of the Jewish people. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. People make a mistake. You think touchy-feely things are touchy-feely. Untouchy-feely is more touchy-feely than touchy-feely. I'm telling you, I'm serious. Untouchy-feely is more touchy-feely than touchy-feely. Talk to me about it. The Rambam is sweeter than everybody. The Rambam on whom they committed character assassination. The rationalist is so much more spiritual than the spiritualist. It's the opposite. Read the Rambam. He'll break your heart. There was nobody more in love with God ever. You'll not on the page in black and white. You can see the Rambam. His whole every cell and every cell and every of his body was head over heels in love with God. The big egghead. The guy was the biggest romantic that ever lived. Nobody, you're not going to see on the page more love of God than the Rambam. Nobody. Touchy feely is more touchy feely, non touchy feely is more touchy feely than touchy feely. You'll see. I'll show you. Anyway, Ahu Gabra. It's a word from our sponsor. Ahu Gabra, the Zuzi, is a certain guy. He gave money a chamer. He paid money for wine, for a chamer, for a donkey. The soap, okay, some of the Kabbalah and the Bay Pasuk with Fula. What happened was he turned out that the second to the king, okay, who was named Parzak, Parzak, the second to the king, wanted to confiscate it. So he paid the money, but he didn't collect the donkey. He says, you know what? Since money doesn't close the deal, and he finds out now that the viceroy has designs on the donkey, he says, you know what? I think I'd like to get out of this deal. He says, Amarle, okay, he says, obviously, he said, Gabli, give my money back. Lord Ben He says, I don't want the donkey. I can back out. Also, they came from Chizda. Amarle said to him, he says, just like what? That the law is, that the rabbi said, that only taking possession closes the deal, and we said it in favor of the seller that they can back out. The same rule, not like we said before, the same rule is also by buyers, and so long as the object hasn't been collected, even the buyer also is allowed to back out. And this opinion, though, also, this is only when some crazy thing happens like that. That's when he can back out. It's not stuff. When a nutty thing like this happens, so the sky's falling in, the guy's are right to back out. That's different. Okay. Okay, we'll see. Now, I want to explain this simply because it's really just arithmetic. Okay, I'm explaining the point. I'm explaining the argument. We're going to read it through, and it'll go easy. There's a law from the Torah. You're not. We'll call it not cheating. We can either not means oppressing. We'll call it cheating. Okay, we have a rule you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to cheat. You can't cheat. Now, what does it mean? If underpaying or overpaying less than a sixth is mechira. Simply, you shouldn't do. We argue you shouldn't do it, or if you shouldn't do it, or if you took it. But for sure, what everybody forget about it. Everybody forgives it. Under a six, forget about it. The deal continues, and if you overpaid underpaid a six, the deal's on, and it's forgiven. Over a six, there's nothing to talk about. The deal's off. Over six, the deal's off. Give the money back. At a sixth, at 1/6, the deal's on, but you have to give the money back. Okay, so listen, give my money back or the deal's on. The guy's right to get his money back. Give my money back or the deal's on. But if as long as you give the money back, the deal's on. At a six, give me my money back. Okay, but the deal's on. Okay, give my money back. The deal's on. If he gives the money back, less than a six, forget about it. Everybody forgives it. More than six, deal's on. Okay, now, what's the problem is like this. We don't know how to calculate the sixth. I'm going to tell you now outside because I'll make it easy. I'll make it all the morning. What is a sixth? Is a sixth the amount that the object is worth, or is a sixth what you paid? So I'll give you an example. Let's say a thing costs $6. Okay, the thing costs $6. So if I paid the guy $5 instead of $6, I cheated that exactly right at a sixth. So that's of the price of the thing. So that's the rule. As long as I give him back the dollar, the deal's on. Okay. He says, "Oh, give me back all the deals on." Let's say I paid $7. Okay, same thing. So he cheated me by what? By 1/6. I said, "Give me back my dollar." The deal's off. Okay, either way, it's fine. That's easy. But what if a guy paid, for example, let's say the thing was worth, let's say no, it's a sixth of what I paid. Okay, but it's not a sixth of the thing. So, for example, if the thing was worth 5 and I paid 6. Okay, so if I paid 6 on a 5, what percentage of that's much more than if I paid $1 on 5, it's much more than a 6, right? The deal's on. Yeah, but of what I paid, I only paid a 6. I paid it's a sixth of what I paid. So is it a sixth and the deal's on, or is it more than a sixth and the deal's off? Okay, so that's an argument. Does the Torah say everyone agrees that if it's a sixth of the object, that's a sixth and the deal's on as long as you pay back the money? The question is, can I say the same thing when it's a sixth of what I paid, even though let's say it's more than a sixth of what the object is? Okay, that's the whole discussion. Get ready. Okay, hold your hat on, and let's appeal to our good arithmetic people. Oh no, Abba Kesef. He says so. Cheating in the Torah is, for example, 4 Masri Ba'arba of 24. Okay, Kesef the seller. If there are 24 units to the seller, and you cheated by 4, over, under 4, so that's 1/6 of the 24, right? 1/6 of the value. That's how we read it. Shesus lemekov. It's 1/6 of the merchandise. Ad masai mutter. Okay, now furthermore, now how much time do you have? You're going to claim, listen, hey, I was over. Whatever it was, I overpaid. No, how much time do you have to say, listen, give me my money or the deal's off? Okay, we learned ad kadei shir lataga. There's a set time. The amount of time that you could have showed it to an expert, to a merchant or to his relatives, hey, listen, hey, you overpaid. Okay, you have time, but you don't get forever. Okay, however, Rabbi Tarfon Lud, Rabbi Tarfon and Lud taught the following. He said, no, Shmona Kesef. I mean, Rabbi said, no, Kesef. He said, no. He said, it's 8 out of 24. Shlish the Mecca. He said, no, cheating, you have to cheat much more. A 6 is not cheating. You have to cheat a whole third. It's a much bigger cheating. Cheating is a third. It's much bigger. Okay, but some will Tagari Lud. Whoa, the merchants Lud thought, well, this is great. My markup is higher. Remember, they had set prices for things, not like today. Okay, but they had set prices. So the markup is higher. But then Rabbi Tarfon, so first they love Rabbi Tarfon. Oh, he's great. But then they didn't like Rabbi Tarfon. He says, he said, but the buyer has all day long, not as long to show it to merchant, he has all day to come back and to say the deal's off. They said to him, so you know what? He says, forget it. He says, I'll follow the rabbis. Thank you very much. I don't want to have all day. I'd rather have the smaller markup and less time for the guy to go back. Because I think I'll live with the rabbi. Let's see what it means. Okay. Itmar, we learn. Rav Amar Sheshusam Efashusam. Like the way we read it. Rav says the 6 is exclusively a sixth when it's a sixth of the price of the merchandise. But if it's not a sixth of the merchandise, but it's a sixth of the payment, that's not the law of the Torah. Ushmul Amar no Sheshus Mos Nami Sheninu. No, it is a sixth of the merchandise, but it's also a sixth of what you pay. That'll also qualify. So even if it's not a sixth of the merchandise, but it's a sixth of what you pay, it's also the same rule deals on, and you give the money back. Okay. Okay. Now, so for example, let's take a look. So Shavi Shita B'Chamsha, for example, if a guy bought a thing that was worth 6 and he bought it for 5, okay. So therefore, what? So the buyer cheated by 1/6, okay. Shavi Shita B'Shiva, or what? Or if he paid, if he buys something worth 6 for 7, where now the salesman, so to speak, cheated by, oppressed him by a 6. Everyone agrees because it's a 6, okay? The basa mechach hazlin, that's fine. See, if you're 6th of the mechach, the rule is what? He says, listen, he says, give me a money. That's all nice. He says, give me money back. The deal's off. Nobody argues that. A 6th on the merchandise, nobody's arguing. That's for sure what the Torah was saying. Key pligi, where's the argument there? Okay, in this case where it's not a 6th of the merchandise, but it's a 6th in the payment. Key pligi, where's the argument? Shabi chamsha. Let's say the merchandise was worth 5 b'shita and he paid 6. Okay, what? So for what? So the seller, he cheated by what? He cheated by what? 1/5. He cheated by a fifth, which is much larger than 1/6. Okay. But as far as the payment, it's only a 6. Okay, but the payment it was a 6. So do we say what? He overpaid and the deal's off? Or we say no, as long as he gives back the money, the deal's on. Okay? B'shavi shiva b'shita. Okay? Or let's say what? Let's say he bought a 7 thing for 6. Okay? And therefore what? Okay, so it comes out that the buyer cheated what? Which is only what? A 7th. Okay, only a 7th of the merchandise. So he didn't cheat. It's only a 7th. He didn't. So it should really be forgiven. Okay, it's less than a 6th. But as far as the payment, okay, it's a 6th. Okay, and the question is, does the seller deals off? The Shmuel Damar Basar Mos Azlina. The Shmuel says what? I can also follow the money. Okay. ID the ID. Okay, on Nazavi. So either case, but also both of these latter cases are what are also called Onah because they're 6th of the payment. The Rav Damar Basa Mechah, Rav says no, that you only calculate the 6th in terms of the merchandise. Azlin, and you always Basa Mechah Azlin. You only follow the merchandise. Shavicham Shabashita. Okay, when he bought a 5 for a 6. Okay, Bito Mechah Chavia. That knocks if you buy a 5 for a 6, okay, which is what? So therefore, what? So therefore, what he cheated by a 5th. That's knocked out. That's completely canceled. Shavi shiva b'shita. If you paid 7, if you paid 6 for a 7, okay, where it's again where it's a 7th, okay, mechila avi, that's forgiven. Okay, because you only follow the merchandise. So it's either off, okay. The Shmuel Amar, but Shmuel says no. When do you say it's either respectively forgiven or canceled? Forgiven because it's less than a 6, or it's bitul mekach, or it's canceled because it's more than a 6. Heicha deleka shasus. Okay, where there's no 6th at all. Mishnei studying from both sides. It's not a 6 in the merchandise, or not a 6 in the payment. And as long as shasus mitzad echad, as long as there's a 6 for either of these circumstances, the merchandise or the payment, or nahavia, that's called a no, and the deal is what? The deal's on as long as you what? You give the money back. He has a right to say the deal's off if you don't give the money. Okay, so the Gemara said 1 second. Tanan, didn't we learn? No, no, Abba Kesef. We learned. Come look at our Mishnah. We said what's cheating is 4 messing barber, 4 out of 24 Kesef of the seller. Shishus Lemechach, 1/6. So didn't you say 4 out of 24 is cheating? My love, isn't the case? What was the case of 4 out of 24? The Zabid Shabi Esrim Besrim Barber isn't where he bought a thing of 20 for 24. What do you do? So it comes out what? That it's a sixth of the payment, but it's not a sixth of what? It's a sixth of the payment. Okay, okay. And for the merchandise, it's a fifth, and yet you still called it no. You see what? So it's a proof for who? A proof for who? Who's that a proof for? That's a proof, huh? For Shmuel, okay, he's Shmuel. You see what Akasha to Rav? We see what the Rav said. It's exclusive to the merchant. No, you see even on the payment. Nah, no, Rav can answer you why. Like we said, there's a way we read it. The Zabi Shabi Yasrin, but Arba Besri. Here's what happened. He paid 20 for a 24, so it was 1/6 of the it was 1/6 of the merchandise. Minus anach. Okay, one second. But if you tell me it's a case where you paid 20 for 24, minus anach mocher, then who was cheated on in that case? It was the seller who was cheated, right? Because the buyer underpaid by a sixth. He says, Amos Sefer, if it was the seller who was cheated, how do you read the end of the Mishnah? It's so beautiful. Ad Masai Mutalaf, you say, look, how long does he have a right to return the merchandise? Enough time to what? To go back. Until how much do you have to go back on the deal? Till he shows it to a merchant, they'll look over to it to his relative. So who's that talking about? The buyer. You just told me it's a case where the seller was cheated. What do you mean he has to go back and so he showed it to the buyer? He doesn't have one to show to anybody. He's the seller. Nachman Lo Shanu, okay, Lo Shanu, we said that's only to the buyer. The seller can always go back. So how can you tell me it's a case where you paid 20 for 24? The whole mission was written in a scenario where it's the buyer who's cheated, and you just gave me a scenario where it was the seller who was cheated. The seller can always go back. Anyway, it only makes sense. Ella, you have to say, don't worry. I can still answer the Mishnah. When we said 4 out of 24, which is a 6, you meant you sold the 20. You sold the 24 for a 28. So therefore, what? It was 4 out of the price. Okay, and it's not a problem. Let's stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. Both say things.
Almost 9:30.
Yeah, we're doing fine. We're not late yet. Not a 6. Not a 6. Yeah. Wonderful. The modern history of the concept, I think, they don't know who. The Rambam. The many that the Rambam just hold it. Nobody more eloquently